a story of patience, knowledge, and truth. In the 9th century, the world was going through a time of political unrest, injustice, and fear. Yet, in the middle of darkness, Allah sent a guiding light, Imam Muhammad al-Naqi, A.S., also known as Imam Ali al-Hadi, A.S. A child blessed with divine knowledge. Imam Naqi, A.S., was born in the holy city of Medina. From a very young age, people noticed something extraordinary about him. His words carried wisdom far beyond his years. At just 8 years old, after the martyrdom of his father, he became the Imam. Many people were surprised. How could a child lead the? But those who met him soon realized. This was no ordinary child, this was a leader chosen by Allah. A center of knowledge and guidance. As Imam, he became a source of knowledge for thousands. Scholars, seekers, and ordinary people would come to him with difficult questions. No matter how complex the issue, Imam Naqi, A.S., would answer with clarity, wisdom, and deep understanding. His knowledge was not learned, it was divinely granted. He didn't just answer questions, he transformed hearts. Silent struggle against oppression. During his time, the Abbasid ruler al-Mutawakkil feared the influence of the Imam. He knew that people loved and trusted Imam Naqi, A.S. So, he forced the Imam to leave Medina and brought him to Samarra under strict surveillance. The Imam lived under constant watch, surrounded by spies, cut off from his followers. Yet, he never complained. His resistance was silent, but powerful. He continued to guide people, spreading truth even in the shadows of oppression. A life of patience and faith. Imam Naqi, A.S., endured hardships that would break ordinary people. But his faith in Allah never weakened. He taught, the strongest believer is the one who remains patient in hardship and grateful in ease. His life became a living example of sabr, patience, taqwa, piety, and unwavering truth. Martyrdom, the victory of truth. The enemies of truth could not tolerate his presence any longer. Eventually, he was poisoned by order of the tyrant rulers. And thus, Imam Muhammad al-Naqi, A.S., was martyred in Samarra. His body was taken from this world, but his message became eternal. Lessons for today. The story of Imam Naqi, A.S., teaches us, stay patient, no matter how hard life becomes. Seek knowledge and live by it. Stand for truth, even if you stand alone. Trust Allah in every situation. His life is a reminder. Truth may be suppressed, but it can never be destroyed. Part 2: Trials in Samarra and the Strength of Faith. The city of Samarra was not a place of peace for Imam Naqi, A.S. It was a place of surveillance, fear, and constant danger. From the moment he arrived, soldiers were placed around his home. Every visitor was watched. Every word was reported. The ruler, al-Mutawakkil, wanted to isolate the Imam from his followers. But something unexpected happened. Even in isolation, the Imam's influence continued to grow. A house under watch, yet full of light, people began to secretly visit the Imam. They came at night, quietly, risking their lives, just to seek guidance. Inside that guarded house, hearts were being transformed. One night, a man came with deep doubts in his faith. His mind was full of confusion, his heart restless. He sat before the Imam and asked difficult questions. The Imam listened patiently. Then, with calmness and wisdom, he answered in such a beautiful way that the man's eyes filled with tears. He didn't just get answers, he found peace. The fear of the tyrant. The ruler al-Mutawakkil grew more uneasy. How can a man under my control still influence people? He wondered. In anger, he tried to humiliate the Imam. One night, soldiers stormed into the Imam's house without warning. They searched every corner, expecting to find wealth or weapons, something to accuse him with. But what did they find? The Imam sitting on a simple mat, reciting the Quran. There was no luxury, no sign of rebellion, only humility and worship. Even the soldiers were shaken. A night that changed hearts. The Imam was forcefully taken to the palace. The ruler wanted to disgrace him in front of others. He ordered the Imam to sit in a gathering filled with entertainment and worldly distractions, hoping to lower his status. But the Imam's presence changed the entire atmosphere. He began to recite verses of the Quran. His voice was filled with emotion and truth. The gathering fell silent. He then spoke about the temporary nature of this world, about kings who once ruled with pride but are now dust beneath the. His words struck the hearts like lightning. Even al-Mutawakkil was shaken, though his arrogance did not let him accept the truth. Patience beyond imagination. Despite all the pressure, the Imam never reacted with anger. No rebellion, no revenge, only patience, dignity, and trust in Allah. He continued to teach his companions quietly, building a network of knowledge and faith that no army could destroy. His struggle was not with swords, but with truth. Preparing for the final test. As time passed, the enemies realized something. They could restrict the Imam's body, but they could not silence his message. And so, they made a dark decision. A decision that would lead to the heartbreaking final chapter. Reflection. This part of Imam Naqi's life teaches us. True strength is remaining calm under pressure. Faith shines brightest in darkness. Even silence can be powerful resistance. A believer changes hearts, not just minds. Part 3. The martyrdom, Shahadat, had reached its peak. The rulers could not tolerate the of truth any longer. Even under strict surveillance in Samarra, the message of Imam Naqi, was spreading, quietly, deeply, powerfully. The tyrants realized one thing: as long as he lives, truth will live. And so, they made their final move. The poison of betrayal. In secrecy, a deadly plan was prepared. The Imam was given poison, hidden in food. There was no battlefield, no sword, no army, just betrayal. As the poison began to spread through his body, the pain was intense. But even in those final moments, the Imam did not cry out in anger. His lips were busy in the remembrance of Allah. Final moments of light. The house was filled with silence, a heavy, painful silence. Close companions gathered around him, their hearts breaking. The Imam, with a weak but filled voice, gave his final advice: stay connected to Allah. Hold firmly to truth. Do not be deceived by the temporary world. His eyes reflected peace, not fear. Because for the friends of Allah, death is not the end, it is the meeting with their Lord. The moment that shook hearts. And then, the moment came. With patience, dignity, and complete trust in Allah, Imam Muhammad al-Naqi, left this world. The city of Samarra fell into grief. But fear was everywhere. People wanted to cry openly, but the shadow of the rulers was still there. Tears were hidden, but hearts were shattered. A silent funeral. His funeral was not like that of kings. No grand announcements, no public mourning, yet, in silence, lovers of truth came. They carried his with tears in their eyes and pain in their hearts. He was buried in Samarra, but his message was buried in the hearts of millions. Part 4. Legacy that can never die. Time passed. Empires changed. Rulers came and went. But something incredible happened. The name of the tyrants faded. But the name of Imam Naqi, became brighter. A legacy of light. Today, millions remember him with love and respect. His teachings continue to guide hearts. Knowledge with humility. Power with patience. Faith with action. His life became a roadmap for every believer facing hardship. The shrine in Samarra. In the city of Samarra, his shrine stands as a symbol of truth. People from around the world visit, not just to remember his pain, but to reconnect with his message. A message of sabr, taqwa, and unwavering faith. Final reflection. The story of Imam Naqi, is not just history. It is a living lesson. In a world full of distractions and challenges, his life teaches us: stay firm on truth, even if you are alone. Be patient when tested. Never trade your values for comfort. Trust Allah in every situation. Final message. They tried to silence him, but his silence became a voice that echoes forever. Part 5. The legacy that lives in hearts. After the martyrdom of Imam Naqi, silence filled the air of Samarra. But this was not an ordinary silence. It was the silence before a message spreads across generations. The enemies thought everything was over. But in reality, this was just the beginning. The mission continues. After the Imam's passing, the responsibility of guiding the continued through his son, Imam Hassan al-Askari, A.S. He carried forward the same mission, protecting true Islam, teaching hidden knowledge, strengthening the believers. But the oppression did not stop. Just like his father, he too was kept under strict watch in Samarra. The chain of patience continued. A hidden preparation. This was not just a time of grief. It was a time of preparation. The teachings of Imam Naqi, A.S. had already built a strong foundation. Quietly, he had trained loyal companions, people who would preserve the truth no matter what. Because a great event was coming. The time of Imam Muhammad al-Mahdi, A.S. The world was about to enter a new phase, a phase where truth would exist, but not always be visible. Light that cannot be hidden. Even though the Imams were under pressure, their message spread far beyond walls and guards. Letters, teachings, and wisdom reached distant lands. People who never saw the Imam still followed his guidance. This was not ordinary influence. This was divine. A lesson for every generation. Imam Naqi, A.S., did not just live for his time. He lived for every generation after him. His life answers questions we still face today. What do you do when truth is suppressed? How do you stay strong when you are alone? How do you remain pure in a corrupt world? His answer was simple: hold on to Allah, no matter what. Your role today. This story is not just to listen. It is to live. Today, every believer has a responsibility. Spread truth with wisdom. Stand against injustice with patience. Improve your character and faith. Because the legacy of Imam Naqi, A.S., now lives through you. Final words of this journey. They tried to end his mission, but his mission became eternal. The call that still echoes. Time kept moving, generations changed, faces changed, worlds changed, but one thing never changed: the voice of truth. And that voice still carries the legacy of Imam Naqi, A.S. From Samarra to the world. What started in a small house under watch in Samarra today has reached across the world. From quiet gatherings to large majalish, from whispered teachings to powerful speeches, his message continues to live. People still cry when they hear his story, still find strength in his patience, still learn from his wisdom. A living connection. Imam Naqi, A.S., is not just a historical figure. For believers, he is a living connection to guidance. In moments of difficulty, in times of confusion, people turn to his teachings and find clarity. Because truth does not expire. If he spoke to us today, imagine if Imam Naqi, A.S., could speak to us today. What would he say? Perhaps, do not let the world distract you from your purpose. Stay firm on truth, even if it is difficult. Your character is your real identity. Remember Allah in every step of your life. Simple words, but life-changing. Your test, your Karbala. Every generation has its own test. Not always with swords, but with choices. Truth versus falsehood, patience versus anger, faith versus doubt. Your daily struggles are your own Karbala. And your decisions define your legacy. The final lesson. The story of Imam Naqi, A.S., ends. But his message never ends. Because a life lived for Allah never dies. Closing message. When the world feels heavy, when truth feels difficult, remember this. A man once lived under constant, yet never broke. A man was silenced, yet his message became louder than ever. That man was Imam Muhammad al-Naqi, A.S. End of series, but beginning of change. This is not just the end of a story. It is the beginning of a journey. Now it's your turn to live the message.